Little girl that's name started with a J that was 15. Anytime I did anything with her, it was interesting.
All right, well,
Yeah.
welcome back to another haunted Harper-Fowlkes house experience. Another Friday night. We got some guests joining us. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
No.
No?
Okay.
We have Aaron Sabo, who's back with us. He moved to Washington, but he was one of our docents and my son. So it's good to have him out with us tonight, doing some
And you brought a friend.
And Desi. Desi Wright's back there. So, what do you think? How is it different?
It's compared to when we started in January, 4 months afterwards, it's very different. It's active. Like before it was like you get like a little couple things and the boards and the pendulums and all that stuff, they just would be like, it'd be like someone uninterested in conversation, you know, that was just like trying to just do it enough just to, you know, just to like, you know, reply. And now they're like active. It's almost an aggressive, well, not maliciously
Right.
aggressive.
Talk to me.
But it's like, you ask a question on like the spirit boards and you think that the other person is like holding it and just shoving it around. It is that.
There was a few times where I took my fingers off just like to see what was going on, and when I took my fingers off, it would stop. And then wait for me to put them back on, and then it'd start moving again. What did it say? Well,
Yeah.
it didn't like either of us taking our fingers off.
I mean,
Right. You have to have like
You don't.
that
You can't do it
connection.
with one person because I tried to do it down in the basement when I was alone,
Mhm.
and none of the entities were strong enough to actually use just me to do it. The pendulum they couldn't use my phone either, but I think someone actually decided to break my phone because I think someone was trying to talk to me. I mean, because they wouldn't come through, the phone vibrated all the time, but I never got a word come through. It
Oh,
actually
really?
scared me in that recording. You heard me say some bad words because I was sitting there and it just vibrated and I kind of dropped over some stuff.
Oh no.
Yeah. But it was interesting, very much so.
Cool.
Actually got some people got some good photos this evening, it looks like,
Right.
too. So hopefully we'll be getting those shared with us and we can share those with you as well.
Mhm.
It's kind of
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the device in front of us actually just said rain. Once again, we kind of get sucked into those from time to time up here. But yeah, interesting evening, as per usual. I think that most of the people seem like they had a pretty good experience out of it this evening. And what'd you get? Anything cool to?
It's always, unique to see how the people, the whole thing is the investigation of like making the contact, making connections, or allowing that communication with the other side. And I can say that it's always interesting how the energies here seem to interact with the energies that come to visit or that are trying to communicate with the energies here. And in saying that, it's like, obviously we can't keep certain energies from being here. Maybe we don't understand why they're here, but Alice is an energy that comes up quite a bit, and she wasn't always coming up, but as we have been here, she's definitely made her energy known, and it's not really not even a question of who she is. She lets us know.
Mm-hmm.
She'll say, I was hung, or she's hung, my baby, and
That started back up. You probably
it's
can't.
like knocking on the window.
Yeah, you
We're on
probably
the
can't
third
hear it on the
floor,
recording.
but there's
but,
knocking on the window over here.
Fog.
Hmm?
So that's got fog.
Every
Fog.
once in a while, the board on this window over here it sounds like somebody's doing construction or something
They're just
outside.
knocking on it. It's not
Yeah,
even
and-
Is there a tree limb that could be there?
No, there's no
Nothing
tree over
there.
there.
Gotcha.
It's like
but-
we're on the top, we're on the third
Yeah.
floor.
Yeah,
So there's the.
even when it's not windy out, it does it, so I don't know what to think of that.
I wanted
but,
to make a note on the I am fog. That's kind of creepy.
Uh-oh.
I guess in a
Could
way,
be
I guess that
our-
would be the ethereals.
that photo tonight, fog. I
Yeah,
am fog.
we got a great, well, I definitely say it's like a fog apparition
Yeah.
in the basement. I look forward to sharing that with everybody, or we do. We're gonna share some of these great images that we got. We've been getting a lot of, I think, more evidence as far as like, through the photography of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's been pretty good. It's been very interesting.
because they won't leave the
Jake
video
come-
cameras alone.
Right? Jake came through again tonight.
Oh,
So
really?
Jake has been, you
Was
know,
he in the room that made Desiree run?
No, he was in the bedroom.
yeah, he stays up here, but I mean, he's always up on the top floor. He used to be in that bathroom mostly, but he does tend to either be in the bathroom or, you know, he'll come up on either that little room or the room on the side.
We got
So-
Gracie back.
Yeah, and I think Gracie has a crush on Rich. Another one of those that come through.
Yeah, I don't know if that's.
Well, maybe she just likes you. You have a very, kids like
Playful.
Rich, right?
Yeah.
They do.
But yeah,
Like
so.
him go to the mailbox unit.
Oh, yeah, mailbox. But, and you know, maybe she likes that you share her story and stuff like that. I don't really know. Again, we don't know why different energies are here and they're identifying themselves. Traditionally, when you're investigating a location, we're investigating that location, but I can't, I mean, I tried to tell Alice to go away, but obviously it's not working out. So maybe there's a reason why they're here. We're just trying to figure out that connection. So now it's more about what is the connection? And maybe it's the Irish connection because she's up here. Usually our Alice comes through.
All the spirits in this area. I don't know about usually, because she does come through downstairs
That's
sometimes
true,
too.
okay.
And usually downstairs, you smell that cat smell before she starts coming through. And that cat smell was in there when we first got down there tonight.
Cat came up on one of those
The
devices.
cat came up on 2 devices, mine and one of the ones in here.
Mhm.
But it was like it was in that room when we first got here,
Mhm.
and strong enough that I didn't like to be in there. But when I went down and he was checking out stuff in that room, you couldn't smell it anymore. So maybe she had come upstairs.
She didn't be afraid of me a little bit, which is weird.
Mm,
She would have been here. I mean, when I was alone, especially, no one would go near me.
mm.
It was very quiet.
That surprised me about downstairs, because I've sat downstairs before by myself for a moment, and it can be unnerving at times,
I mean, like, I
especially.
took my glasses off so I couldn't see because I kept wanting to look at the doorway. But when I have my glasses off, you can't see anything. So I was like, it didn't bother me. And you know, I sat and listened, and I heard not a thing. And then I started talking. You know, I was trying to get someone to like actually say something. You probably should check that recording and see if there's anything actually communication. But right before I left, right before you came down, actually, I heard cabinets just shuttering around.
I was hoping you were going to mention that.
It's great.
And that was the second time that that's come up. One, I think, was on mine, and again on that. A lot of duplicate things on different devices coming up, which is kind of interesting too. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and another thing too, I noticed that I wanted to mention is like the people on the event tonight were very open, and also not just open, but they understood kind of like the principle of the communicating with the other side, using all the tools. Some people are very reluctant to use
They're either reluctant or skeptical.
the
or they think that it's-
pendulum board or the talking boards, the spirit talking boards. They're not Ouija boards, they're spirit talking boards. It was used in the Victorian era, and the main reason why we brought those in is because it's something that was used during the time when this house was built in an area that we're trying to connect. So the idea is that maybe the spirits would be able to recognize that and use it a little bit better. A lot of times people seem to just like, oh, they're very, uncertain about it.
It's a lot of taboo,
Right.
culture and stuff attached to that. So
But, tonight when I said, after we went through, we have a lot of technical equipment, we've got gadgets for you to carry around, we've got gadgets set up in areas of the investigation. So we have lots of technical gadgets and stuff to use. What I'm trying to say is that there's no difference in using a battery-operated device where the lights move and asking the energies to move the lights than it is to say, can you move this pendulum, yes or no? It's really no different. I mean, on a paranormal investigation, you're here to make communication however you can. So the tool doesn't make it evil. It's what sometimes they may do with it or what you invite in. And always it needs to be handled with respect and be gingerly with them, be careful with them.
Yeah,
Be
don't
respectful.
provoke. Yeah. Yeah, I was like, I feel a cold spot.
I know, right?
It's on both
Do
sides.
you know you're being videoed? And this
Yeah,
is-
I can't stop because I'm.
Because it's like 80 some odd degrees in
Well, also
here.
my skin's kind of burning still.
Well, yeah, that's true too. Of course, oddly enough, two weeks in a row now, it's been like 86 over here, and directly across the hall, it's been like 70 something.
Yeah.
Like a good 5, 6, 7 degrees difference across the hall.
We're gonna have to call that the Zima room. A few degrees cooler.
Yeah, something.
I thought that was funny.
That ether just now.
Was that their old saying?
Yeah.
Well, you know, might have to edit that one out, but that's still kind of funny.
Why?
The Z, because it was Zima's ad, you know, can't.
I said we would have to call that the Zima room because it's a few degrees cooler. You know what? They may not even say that
They
anymore
might
on
not.
this
You
dimension.
never
Who
know.
knows?
Who knows? Yeah.
Slip into the twilight
And
zone.
it does feel like that at times in here.
Right?
So, but yeah, like we always say, there's really only one way to find out about this, and that is to come out and experience it.
Right.
Um,
Had a lot of great communications tonight, and the only way you can experience, like you said, is to come out. Come out. Come out.
did you guys want to add anything, or did you?
Did you want us to talk about what
Look
happened
what that
through?
says.
Yeah. Shoot. What?
Under book.
Under
the book.
Under what book?
I don't know. That'd be Dominic. Hell.
I don't know. Should they share that story before we close? 'Cause-
Sure, you can share a story.
Okay.
Well, where should
Just
we?
leave out someone's building.
Yeah, gotcha. Right on.
What should we start with?
Like basically just, why don't you
Just give a very brief
share
overview.
kind of like, your communication, not necessarily what you tried to find.
Well,
But yeah, just tell us about your
originally-
communications.
originally we started in the basement of the Lita study, trying to get some kind of communication down there.
Mhm.
We got very little, it was kind of dead, but also when we were down there, everyone else was down there. It was very busy and they were kind of shy. But eventually, I was down there for a while and then I came back up and Desiree was there and we went into the unfinished bathroom where I think Jake, you said, was seen.
Mhm.
And we found someone, Dominic, and we discovered how they died.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we found a Dominic.
That's, that name has come up in there before.
We found that they were murdered.
Jake said the same thing.
They were murdered by the grandfather, who apparently we're assuming we got a different word. We assumed they were framed for cheating on somebody.
And it said lust.
Lust, sack. So we're not sure how they were murdered, but it was that they were murdered by a grandfather, and we think the grandfather's name was Chris or Christopher.
Mm.
That's come up.
But Dominic was either a slave or a servant.
Yeah, before he came up, me and a few of the other girls were in the room. Every time we went in the room, the
The K2.
The K2 or the,
little things with the lights,
Yeah.
K2.
K2s would light up, and like we'd ask the questions, and they kept wanting us to go to that spot me and Sabo were in, and like me and her would be there, and it would blink for us to questions.
wow.
And so that was like one spot that really lit up for me.
That's really neat, because it not only kind of like gave y'all, it guided you.
Yeah.
It was like guiding you to an area. Come here.
Well, even after
Where
they
it's-
were doing it,
Mhm.
we got guided 2 different places because Dominic, we said he was in purgatory. He was stuck in purgatory. So we were like, how can we help you? And he was very, very kind of vague at first. All he would say is first. And we were like, first what? We don't know what that means.
Mhm.
And we eventually were said, okay, he said they had a note somewhere in the house. And we were like, okay, where's the note? And he literally led us directly to under the stairs right here. And sure enough, there was remnants of like a book page or some kind of note that was like laid there that got torn off as it was lifted up, Don't forget, I won't forget. But
Don't you?
And then the light down in one of the rooms that we
Yeah.
cut on, it would not cut off.
well, we asked him if he could find. We asked if he could find the other spirit board because you said that it got misplaced one night.
Yeah, there's one that's we
Still
still
missing.
haven't found.
And
one
he
of
said that he's like, yeah, I know where it is. And I said, okay, can you tell us where it is? Because apparently that can help more with finding his note or finding his way out of purgatory. I'm not sure if it's some kind of binded to him or whatever.
Mm.
Or bound is a better word, I guess. But he said that the room across from Alita's study, the archive, the room that you're not supposed to go into, was where it was. Well, I mean, the last thing is that, you know, when we were trying to turn the light off, Rich was like, can you turn this light off? And I kept doing it, and we were like, okay, Dominic, can you turn the light off? Click.
Oh, the light.
He wouldn't let us turn the light
It
off
would not go off.
until we asked him.
You flick it up, flick it down, it wouldn't do anything. And then, like he said, he asked, he's like, can you cut this off, please? And it went off for him, and it was like, thank you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so guys, come out and join us next Friday. See for yourself. It's the only way really to experience this
Yeah.
house, and it keeps getting weirder. So, and we will see you. We'll see you then, right?
Right?
So, yeah. Thank you, guys.
Good night.
Night.
Good night, everybody.
And off.